just, again, I want to reiterate, I will, but I just want to reiterate about just, it wouldn't work without all the community. Teddy, what would you want to say?
What's your favorite part of farming and Maple Leaf so far? For you, Kirby.
For Kirby. That's a good question. I mean, our team, I love our team. This is going to sound like cliche. Teddy, you prompted this whole thing. I really do love our team. We're really a small team, but we really do have a lot of fun. We work really, really hard. And we're able to produce a lot of stuff just off of like three full-time people and myself. And so that's a real joy. We get to have a lot of fun and we get to do what we like. So I think that's probably what I like the most.
Greenhouses, field crops.
I do love the greenhouses. The spring, I know, I do love greenhouse time. I love the flower, the potted plants and the flowers. That was always something I really, really enjoyed. And something I did in the past as well before I came here. So it's like, there's something about it being cold in the spring and you're able to be in the greenhouse with all these colors. And it's nice and warm. Sorry, Howie.
It's wonderful. Oh, yes.
Lane.
Sorry. What percentage of seed do you preserve and reutilize each season?
I don't think it's anything. I don't think you're talking about like collecting seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't collect any seed. It's basically all brought in new.
And so what we've done in the past, we had different suppliers, but we also did, kept seed over. So we did, but a percentage would be hard for me.
As far as collecting like seed from the garden and other things, we hardly did anything. But now that we're working, we're out there collecting our bean seeds.
I thought that with your corn, that you always continued your seeds.
Oh, actually, all the corn is mostly hybrid corn, so it won't come true to variety.
Oh.
That's why the corn's so good. It's just regular breeding, it's not genetically engineered.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Kathy had told me that.
Yeah.
It's great, thank you.
Yes.
Would you talk about your pest management program? What kind of spraying do you have to do, or are you not doing?
Sure, I'd like to talk about in the past first, and just that in recognition of pesticides and making changes that are healthy. We did, first off, backing up in the wintertime, going to different classes. There were things that we could learn about, different methods of doing things that would just reduce any reduced pesticide use. So that we have integrated pest management. Apples are very hard to grow in this area of the state without pesticides. But one of the things, like all those beautiful greens that you saw, one way to keep insects off of it, and insects is the biggest thing, is covering it with a very fine mesh. It's a lot of work of management. So going along that way and paying attention to really what time of the year you ought to be planting something is significant. So that there is,
You have to go down a list and sort of say everything. Those like the leafy greens stuff, they never needed any kind of pesticides on them. And broccoli and those crops, we could use an organic pesticide easily on them. One thing, sweet corn, to manage 10 acres of sweet corn, we use some herbicides, some insecticides on them in the orchard. But like beets, carrots, things like that, we do a lot of cultivating, hand hoeing. We have newer cultivating equipment that's very fun to use, actually. Some specialized stuff from Europe.
And
it really does a lot of good weed control.
there's someone in the audience that is just fantastic he's a great farmer, and he just does really good crop rotation where you are growing in one area of your farm. Paul, would you like to get to talk?
He's gonna hide.
He's hiding.
Then he got a bunch of people
So,
Paul,
but-
Rebecca,
and so,
Elliot.
but what I wanna say is this one really significant thing about weeds, for instance. If you, are good about your rotation of, crops, so that what you're bringing, what you're planting in a new area, you're starting in a clean area, if you will, for weeds, and, Kirby, did you, sorry, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about what we do right now. I mean, it really is a crop-by-crop basis. It is actually kind of helpful not doing sweet corn and not having to manage the apples, because those are really two of the bigger ones that we would have to do any type of chemical spraying on. But really, I think when people hear like we're not, certified organic, they're like, oh my gosh. But the reality is, like, we really barely spray anything. I really don't have to do anything. A lot of it's cultivating, but it really is crop by crop. So things specifically like this year, for example, like potatoes, like got like almost completely wiped out by beetles. So it's like, if I want to have a marketable yield, it's like, do I spray or do I just not have potatoes? So those are things that I have to weigh sometimes. But besides that, it really is organic use. Even in the greenhouse, for like
But you can't call it that.
right, so we're not certified, so I can't say we're organic. There is nothing organic about this. I have to say it.
You have to say it, that's a lot.
I'm not getting a fine for $10,000. But right, I am using an organic product. So it's the same thing with broccoli, any of the brassicas, because they'll get a lot of worms in there. We can use a product called BT, which is really an organic toxin that doesn't affect humans at all.
And so the wonderful thing is that the farm stand is an avenue for anybody to ask about different crops. And at a grocery store, we can do them. Anything else?
I wanted to thank you to come to the library for your wonderful lecture and curiosity, Kathy, and how we thank you. And